he could sit there and set 1,000 foot by eye. And you could, at the time when I was a kid, we didn't have drones, but you could have thrown a drone up in the sky and that thing would have been perfect. Like he had those eyes. Welcome back, everybody. Joe Everest, the fence expert. Hey, one of the most common pieces of feedback we get about the Saturday morning live Ask the Expert segment is those things are long, and they're not wrong. They last about 3 hours, 2.5 to 3 hours. Sometimes, a few weeks ago, Caleb and I got into a pretty good discussion about marketing. I think it lasted closer to 4 hours. Nobody's got time to sit through 4 hours of listening to a couple experts talk. I get it. So Jeremy's created a new segment just for you guys called Hot Takes. It's usually a shorter segment of the longer conversation, basically hitting the hot topics, if you will, of that live segment. So without further ado, here comes this week's Hot Take. Alan says, a lot of guys that set by eye will keep a plumb bob on them. Okay. I will stand corrected, Alan. I will. And this is probably a regional thing, right? So here in our area, I knew what a plumb bob was, but I wasn't brought up using one. But we also use string lines, right, to set. Another argumentative topic. I'm going to say it. We set with string lines. Actually, now we set with equalizers by Mr. Fence Tools. So, yeah, we weren't setting by eye. Now, when I was a kid, we had a guy here this is when we had set crews and finish crews. The foreman on the set crew set by eye. And this guy, he was something to see. Like, his eyes he had like 22 vision or something like that. Instead of 2020, it's like 2010. He had just eagle eye vision. He could sit there and set 1,000 foot by eye. And you could, at the time when I was a kid, we didn't have drones, but you could have thrown a drone up in the sky and that thing would have been perfect. Like he had those eyes. The problem with setting by eye is that isn't really a trainable skill. It probably is a trainable skill, but it's not a repeatable skill. Or the training to get someone to have that kind of repeatable skill would just be crazy. I really think it would. You can teach them to work off a string or an equalizer, something similar, a jig, if you will. That process is more easily repeated than training someone to look with just eye in a fence post. Now, speaking of Mark Olson, he's got a video on eyeballing, how to eyeball in fence post. It makes perfect sense. And I understand a lot of guys do it. For us, it's more easy to train using a string line and operating off a string line than it is using the eyes. Because also eyeballing in is a bit subjective too. My eyes aren't the same as your eyes, aren't the same as somebody else's eyes. So there's going to be a margin of error in there. At least with string line, you'll probably argue there's still a margin of error, but it's significantly less than the margin of error on eyeballing in. But if you are using, or if you are setting by eye, then using a plumb bob, I can see how that helps. It'd be like calibrating the eye while you're setting posts, right? I can see that. All right, guys, that concludes this week's Hot Take. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Do you like the format? Do you not like the format? Let me know in the comments below. We're still figuring this out, and we could use your help. But for now, I'm Joe Everest, the fence expert, reminding you that good fences make good neighbors. And I'll see you next time.